Hello and welcome. Today we've got Wendy Smith and we will be talking about the mental health of the earth. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to my Telegram channel and to nicholasfeniarmin.com for my free email updates. And I will leave Wendy's links below so you can follow her too. Now, if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview. Wendy, thank you for joining me. How are you?
Well, thank you very much for having me here today. And I'm very well, thank you. The sun is shining. What more can you ask for?
Absolutely. It's a wonderful day. I'm just trying to keep myself hydrated because it's very hot. It's very humid here in the UK. We're both in the UK, aren't we?
We are. Whereabouts are you based, actually?
I don't want to say.
Oh, don't say then.
I don't want to say. Okay.
So I'm in jam making.
So let's talk about how we can move forward, because you're a trainer, right? So if you could give us a small introduction of your background, and then we can go into the kind of training that you offer people. How about that?
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah. So my background is at the age of 17 years old, I had a motorbike accident and I ended up with a very severe break to my back. I severed the spinal cord at T6, died on the road, spent 8 months in hospital recovering, with the medical profession telling me that I would never walk again. And I walked out 8 months later. So that sort of set me already thinking about why me, what's different. Then I basically went and just did stuff for 10 years because I didn't know what else to do, and wandered into the realm of wheelchair basketball. I say quite randomly, but there are no coincidences. So I ended up in 2002 playing wheelchair basketball, and at 2004 at my first Paralympic Games. That led me into the realms of, again, people with negative belief systems, which I was not expecting with high performance athletes. So comparing themselves to other people and feeling bad and not performing. And I thought, how can I help these people? So that, I always say, sport saved my life in two ways. Number one, before I had my accident, I was physically fit because I was a sports person at school. That's the only reason they reckon I survived. And number two, sport gave me my career back. So after the Paralympics, I became a speaker, I became a coach, I became a tutor. And due to my own mental health meltdowns, which I've had loads over the last 20, 30 years, from, attempted suicide, suicidal thoughts, massive depression, serious long-lasting bouts of anxiety. I then wandered into the PTSD and trauma realm, and then met my business partner, who we run situational awareness courses with. So that's like the condensed version, Nicholas.
Right. So you mentioned earlier that you're into mental health training. Am I right to say that? Do you want to go into your journey in how you got into that, and also what kind of mental health, types of different mental health that you're involved in, that you're assisting?
Yeah, so that started off again through my own experiences. I got to a point where I just sort of hit a plateau in life in general, and I was running really negative patterns that I wasn't recognizing. So I was blaming other people for my emotional states. I'm angry because you didn't do this, or, I'm depressed because you don't fulfill this need in me. So I was externalizing everything. I didn't even know I was doing it, and constantly depressed. I used to do an awful lot of what I call mold-based drugs when I was younger as well, burying everything. Do you know what I mean? Just burying my life and my head in the sand. And a very good friend of mine said, you really need to sort your head out. You're doing this all to yourself. I suggest you go and do an NLP practitioner course, which is neuro-linguistic programming. And I asked her, I said, well, what is it? She said, don't ask, just go and do the course with a good friend of mine. And because I trusted her, I thought, right, I know I need some help. So I went and did an NLP practitioner course for 7 days intensive. And it was the biggest kick up the backside for me in life, because when I came back, I was fully aware that my life was mine, that all the thoughts I was having, I was generating, that all of my emotions and feelings were coming from inside me and I was then giving them out. It wasn't because of something. So instead of everyone else being the cause, I then became the cause. And it really, really made me fully aware of, what I'd been doing over my whole entire life. It depressed me for a while knowing all this stuff, but then I thought, wow, if I can create all that negative stuff, now I know what I'm doing with my human system, what can I create now in the future? And then from there, I then studied my master's and became a trainer because I loved it so much. And that was my initial hit that I combined with the basketball coaching. So I was initially helping athletes, and then it sort of unfolded from there. People would ask me, oh, I've got a problem with this, or my friend's got a problem with that. Can you help? And I go, I don't know, send them to me and I'll have a conversation. And I just found I had a natural knack for intuitively tuning into people and then using questioning skills and some of the other stuff I'd learned to just help people unpick what we call their map of reality, gain a different perspective, perception, and then create change in life. So that's where it started.
So really what you were doing, you were manifesting negative thoughts, and then you took this training course that was intense, and you changed your life around, and you found that you were manifesting negativity, but now you're manifesting positivity. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. I had no concept of it. You sort of get experiences in your life, but this is the awareness part of some of what I do now as a situational and awareness trainer. It's the awareness of what's happening in life. When I look back over life, I remember times in my childhood when I would feel really good about something and want something to happen so much. And then all of a sudden it'd happen and it'd be like, wow, I can't believe that's happened. But actually now I understand I'd manifested that into my experience. The same as when I look back on the negative stuff as well. The more I was thinking about the negative, the more I was getting. So the NLP really did give me a big understanding. And my teacher was what we call an enlightened master trainer as well. So she worked in the energy therapies, and she started opening me up to the quantum realm of energy and, understanding things on a much deeper level than I'd ever even considered.
Now, there are many negative people out there who are very fully aware that they're negative, and they manifest negative thoughts, and it's just, a cycle. It's a habit. It's very difficult to break out from it, and they try to be positive, and we try to do things like to read the book The Secret, The Magic, and and learn about how our thoughts function, because they are antennas and we're able to manifest. So what are the key elements that were very strong, that were highlighted out for you, that you were able to make a difference for yourself and to become positive and to take that control? What would you say, give me a number of things that stood out for you in the training that you took on that made a difference to your life?
Language. The power of language was the first thing that hit me like a brick. The fact that every single word we utter, whether it's on the inside or the outside, is what the word spelling means, a spell in the doing, when you break it into two. So every single word you utter, internally or externally, you're casting a spell. And that, for some reason, sat with me. So I just started considering, what spells am I casting when I'm talking to myself on the inside, and also when I open my mouth? So, I can infect other people around me with my energy and my language. I can bring people down or up really quickly with my tone of voice, my body language, my facial expression. So I think it was the most powerful thing that hit me first was the language, followed by what this is doing. So a lot of people walk about, they have no idea what their face looks like. You can see a smile at 100 meters away. When you know this, you can change someone's environment before you get to them. A smile, even if it's a fake one, will start signaling to your body to produce certain chemicals. So if you want to feel good, just sitting there, my granddad used to say, give me a fake smile. And I don't want to smile, do you know what I mean? And I'd go like this and I'd be grimacing. But the thing was, you do it for 10 seconds, you start naturally flooding your body with really good hormones and chemicals. So I think it was just slowly unpicking the understanding, but language was the first most powerful aspect. And then our storage capacity, which then generates all future behaviors. That's the one thing that's transformed everything I do in my business, is knowing that we store information, we hold information for a reason, then our human system utilizes that information moving forwards by the process of trigger driver behavior. So if you think about PTSD, for example, PTSD can be embedded in a millisecond, or it can be over a long period of time. So if someone's had what's known as an episodic memory, one event that has been so highly charged with negative emotion that then they've traumatized themselves in that moment, what happens is as they move forwards, they might cognitively be able to be aware of like, oh, I understand why that happened and how that happened, but you've stored like a barcode that emotional information somewhere. So what happens is triggers are everywhere. So it could be that then they watch a TV program, an example like a loud noise similar to the one that happened fires up. Mm-hmm. That's a trigger that stimulates their neurology to go, oh, how do we react to that? Hang on, I'll go through storage and I'll find something relevant. Here you go, we run fear and anxiety. And then the body will go straight into that chemical response that was stored, and you'll run the behaviour. So a technique I was taught probably about 6 or 7 years ago, well, actually a whole therapy model, was how to recode that information to get people really quickly out of PTSD. And, you know, there are ways and means that don't take years when you know how to do it. It's very simple.
So when you say you can remove it, are you saying that you can get that barcode and just get it out of your body, remove it? Is that what we want to do? So how would you remove it? What's the simple way that you're saying?
Can I demonstrate with a box of staples? Because this is what I do with my clients. Of
course, whatever you think. This is what I
do with my clients. It's the easiest way to try and explain this. So we code information every second of the day. We have all this information coming in for our senses, and highly charged ones get stored above anything else. The reason being, if you wanted to tie your shoes or drive your car or walk, talk, read, write, all of these things that we've learned to do, you have to store the information. Otherwise, you'd wake up every day and have to read a manual on how to drive your car. I've got up again. How do I get dressed? Right, hang on. Mum, can you come put my shoes on? I've forgotten. You know, we don't forget these things. So it's fair to say our system stores information. What happens is, so the realms I work in, if you imagine this box of staples is a memory. Right. So that episodic memory happens. Maybe it was, just say it was a car accident. Yeah. The car accident gets a barcode. So maybe it was anxiety, fear. There would have been a lot of colour in there. There'd have been sound in there as well. And it would have stored it in a location in your body. It goes, this is the car accident. We store this here. Then what happens in retrieval? So a trigger goes off. It might be you just think about getting in the car and then you start running massive anxiety. Start thinking this is going to be a problem. So all that happens is the memories, we don't touch the memories. They're irrelevant. I want to change the barcode. So I have a way of tracking into that barcode, connecting to it. Then I can change the emotional states that were stored, the colours, the visuals that were stored, the linguistics that were stored, and the sounds that were stored in the location. So then it has a new barcode and it gets locked in somewhere else. So the memory's still there, but the emotional response to the memory is gone.
So you're not really. So what you're saying is that you're not. The car memory or the car accident memory is still there.
Yeah.
And you're not throwing it away, but you're changing the emotion, the way you react to it, the way you react to the trigger thoughts or the memory.
That's it. So if any triggers fire up and your unconscious goes, oh, hang on, there's a car. And, you know, how do we, oh, sorry, no, we feel quite relaxed and happy when we get in a car. So we just change the barcodes on the memories. So the memories stay there, but the way you respond to the memory changes literally instantly as I do it. So then you could walk out of my office or my home and go get in your car and drive your car and not be in a state of panic.
So how do you change the barcode, which is your feelings and your reaction? So say you've got a trigger and that same barcode is there. Now you're about to change it, you know, so how do you go about that?
So it really is, this is where it gets so simple and people go, it can't be that simple. We have a process that we talk you through. I always say to my clients, I'm like a tour guide for your bus. So I'm just going to talk you through a process. So I get them into a relaxed state, which is not hypnosis. I mean, our brains work in trance anyway. So we're always in a state of trance throughout the day. So I use a particular process we call a tennis ball technique, which just drops you into your creative center. Then I get them to connect into a certain space for me, view an image, feel the experience, again, only briefly, unless it's trauma like abuse or rape or something like this. And then we do it in a slightly different way because we're not wanting them in there. And then I just get them to look at it, take learnings, linguistic learnings off of it. I won't give the whole process away, Nicholas, because people will be doing this at home and they won't come to me for therapy. But we take a linguistic learning off it. Everything will have a colour or a sensation and a location. So we change the locations, we flood the body with the new colour, which the neurology does really, really quickly. Change the location where it's stored. This is a fascinating process as well, because I always thought memories were stored in your head until I did this, and they're actually stored all around your energy field and in different places. It's very odd. And then once we've done that, we just get it to lock in the process, and then we bring the person out of it, and then we memory test. So then I would say to them, right now, look at that event now and tell me what feels different in the body. And people will literally do this. They'll go all round their head going, why do I not feel fit? There's no anxiety. Why is there no anxiety when I look at that? You know, and then, I mean, this sounds a bit weird, but then I'll show them car crashes. If it was about a car crash, so go, let's test it on the video. Let's go now. You're going to come out for a drive with me. Let's go for a lap of the village and see how you feel now as a passenger. And they'll be like, well, it's just no problem. What's I don't understand. Because it's so simple. We've been taught, I think, through all of the old models that everything has to be a long process. But the bloke who taught me this, a fascinating chap, in his head, he said if it can be embedded in a second, it can be taken out. Not quite in a second, but it can be taken out just as quickly.
Right.
So it is a fascinating process.
You could also recreate, you could think about them yourself, how it affects you. Do you think being aware of your feelings and how you feel would help get rid of it as well?
Yeah, I mean, the focus, it's lovely to have someone do this process for you, because what I found, I mean, I've practiced, as a trainer of this, I train it and a practitioner. I've worked with over 1,000 people removing PTSD from their system now over sort of the last 6-7 years. And what I found is when I get something and I go, actually, what if I can get rid of that myself? And I sit down and I go, right, I'm just going to drop into this space. Then all of a sudden, I've gone in my head over there. I'm on a beach on holiday. And it's like, no, come back to what you were doing. You know, when someone's guiding you through the experience, it's easier to follow instructions unless you're really good at, controlling your thought process and staying focused, because it does take a lot of focus. But you can. We've got really simple techniques that we teach to parents that we just get them to. This is a common NLP technique, just changing a colour. So if a child has got a bit of anxiety, or they call it worry, we go, where do you feel the worry on the inside? They'll tune into it. They go, oh, it's in my belly. All right, if you could give it a colour, what colour would you give it? They'll give you a colour. They'll go, it's red or it's black, or, what would you want to feel instead of that? I'd want to be happy, and when you feel happy, where would you feel happy? I'd feel it in my face. And what colour? They might say yellow. And then all we do is we talk them through the process. So right now let's change that red colour to a yellow colour and move it the other way. And let's move that yellow colour now up into the face. And, it's just these simple little things. Our neurology really will respond to it when we give it direction.
Right.
So you can change things quite quickly. The youngsters really respond really quickly to that. When we get into adult storage, it's a little bit different how it gets set in. So we go through a slightly longer process. But you can do it really quickly. If you're going to a job interview, for example, when you're running anxiety in your chest, just give it a colour, notice how it moves, turn it the other way and change the colour into something different. And you'll notice the anxiety will just disappear. There's some really simple little techniques, but the ones we use with the PTSD and trauma, there's certain things we go through in order that have just been proven. He worked in the army he used this, I think, developed it for about 10, 15 years in the army, and then took it with him when he left. So he's developed this process over a long period of time, and it's very successful.
Yeah. How great would it be if everyone could, manifest their own thoughts, be positive, and not have these low frequency energies like fear and, their egos and guilt, shame. It would be nice. It would make a massive difference on the earth, wouldn't it? With consciousness.
Oh, could you imagine if we were taught from, the age dot, the power of our human system and collective consciousness, and how to generate and manifest and love and, all of those beautiful, beautiful experiences. Yeah, if we were taught all of this stuff and how to change stuff quickly, prepare yourself before it comes in so you don't install trauma, so this is what the situational awareness stuff is. We scenario train people. So prior to an event, they know how to switch their system so no trauma gets embedded, so they don't end up with PTSD.
So what do you do that? Well, what is that? How do you prevent it from happening?
For going through different states of awareness. So the first part, we have a classroom session first. The first thing people need to be is aware. If you're not aware of yourself and you're not aware of your human system and how it actually functions and is designed to operate, then there's not a lot we can do for you, because you've got to be aware first. Right. That, you know, that you're running this thing, that the language is yours, that your behaviours are yours currently. Even your energy management, you know, you can change the energy you give out and how you utilise it. Then once we've been through all the classroom, we then go outside, and the first part is you'll get gloves and pads on, and we teach people about powerful and powerless through anger or happiness, which sounds a bit weird, but it's literally showing people that while you're stressing your muscles and trying to hit something through a stress state, you're actually powerless, because you're using stress hormones, everything's under tension. So we get people into floppy states where then they're applying power through a certain technique that we teach that shows them the more relaxed you are in that space, the more powerful you're going to be in that millisecond, which means that doesn't just apply to like the physical stuff. This isn't self-defense what we teach. We teach situational awareness. So what it is how do you get the second that's going to save you so you can get out of dodge, so to speak. So this isn't about standing and fronting someone up for 10 minutes. This is about a quick movement of whatever description that will put the other person off balance so you can, you know, create safety for yourself. So the powerful, powerless thing is really interesting. I was working with one of the guys 2 days ago, and I'm only 5'6", I'm 9 stone, so I'm quite small. And he was over 6 foot. And we were doing the initial, obviously I've trained we use slapping just as a technique to show you what happens. And I slapped him and nearly took him with his hands on pads, nearly took him totally off balance with the first one. And he was like, where did that come from? Because I was all happy and smiling and joking while I'm doing it. And then he's gone to slap me back and I didn't even move, because he was trying to use power, not energy. So it all comes from from the energy that we, you know, generate on the inside, and where we apply it and put it. It doesn't matter how big or small you are. You are a powerhouse of energy. So we teach people about their energy. So in a situation, if you can imagine, if someone's walking down the road and they get stopped and asked for the time, and then someone goes to grab them on the wrist, they preempt, this is slightly, again, the presence of the abnormal and the absence of the normal. So we just train people, you know, is that normal? I don't even have a watch on my hands and I've got no phone and someone's asking me for the time, then their wrist gets grabbed. Just how to preempt and move your wrist beforehand. So someone is then shocked because they've not managed to get hold of you, because people are normally looking for victims. Now, if you've already done this and done this, that person's now thinking, hang on, I've not got a victim here, I've got a problem. So they're more likely to leave you be. So there's many situations in life where people are just not aware, you know, walking on their phone and just stepping out into the road, walking with your phone on this side and someone drives past on a moped and grabs it off of you. You know, there's on your own when you're going home at night, some people use bravado and ego, and that overrides their intuition because they think, I'll be all right walking down this alleyway at 2 o'clock in the morning. Whereas actually your intuition is saying, don't go there, don't go there, don't go there. But, you know, you override it. So we teach people also to listen to intuition. At that point, take the 5-minute detour for safety. So it's just about preempting, just being aware. That's all it is. Not paranoid and thinking I've got to fight everybody, but just being more aware of your environment. And they do say that 30% of all the attacks you'll receive in your life, if you're in that position, are going to be in your work environment. You're more likely to be attacked at home or at work than by a random stranger. So again, it's like a massive communication model as well. So it also teaches you how to communicate, and it's great fun. It's great fun.
But we should be listening to ourselves, like you said, you know, our intuition, because that tells us from, you know, if something feels right or wrong. And also it's connecting who we are. We build that relationship and it becomes, that inner voice becomes stronger.
It does. And how many people do you know that just don't listen? They just don't listen. It feels wrong, but they go and do it anyway, and then it all goes wrong. It's one of those things. But this is the questioning process, I suppose, and this ties into everything that's happened over like the last 18 months. If something feels wrong to me, I go, right, because I'm an awareness trainer. So my job is to question it and find out what is going on. So when something feels wrong, I go, right, that information that's just come in just doesn't feel right. It doesn't sound right. And actually, it doesn't look right. So I'm not going to take this person's word for it. I now need to just go and have a look at some other information and go, why does this feel wrong? What is it about it that feels wrong? And then, you make an informed choice on everything yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what kind of what kind of sessions do you offer, and do you do on Zoom?
Yeah, so with the PTSD and trauma stuff, that can be done through Zoom. It works just as well online as it does face to face. All of our awareness training we like to do in person. So we tend to have groups of people come down to a place that we call the Farm in Reading, or prior to the whole Gong show that's going on at the moment, we were going into companies and we would run these type of events in companies as well. I also go in, I'm an intervention specialist in schools. So I also go in and do a lot of work with our youth, which I absolutely love. So I do talks and then I'll run workshops for them and bits and pieces like that. So yeah, it's very flexible.
Well, if you hand me over your links and email, I'm gladly put them below in the description so that people can have a look, contact you and see what you do and ask you any questions, But Wendy, it's been absolutely lovely having you on. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Just, whatever you think, you're not wrong. It's pretty much as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's all an inside job. Happiness is an inside job, Nicholas, and that's all it comes down to.
It really is. And it's that simple. It's just a habit that we need to get used to.
Indeed.
Well, Wendy, thank you so much. And we'll speak soon. God bless you.
Lovely. It's a pleasure. Thank you.